Thank you very much, Senator Amin. Friends, we in Naparima, we are lucky. You see, we are fortunate to have an MP who fights for us every single day, be it in Parliament or on the platform or in the streets. Mr. Rodney Charles, he works for us. Our MP was the man who told the nation that Rowley had no plan, that he would destroy this country. However, we didn't listen. But MP Charles, he didn't give up. He's still fighting for us. Farris, Stewart, Rowley, they freed him. No matter how hard they hit him, he gets up and he hits back harder. They don't like him because he's smarter than all of them put together. Please welcome our firebrand MP Rodney Charles.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start by acknowledging my friends and colleagues at the head table and in the audience. First of all, there's Stacey Silochan and Alvin Daniel, our chairpersons, co-chairs. Give them a round of applause. We have our candidate who will make sure that we have 10 seats in the Princestown Regional Corporation, Rajesh Lal. We have our young, bright, I wouldn't say good looking, but bright Senator Saddam Hosein. Round of applause for him. Well, I don't know, but she's young. Yeah, let me say she's young. Senator Khadija Amin, Deputy Political Leader, you just heard her. Councillors Ramdan, Councillors Laurent Matura, and our own Vashti Suku. A round of applause. Last but not least, our good, bright, young councillor, Chris Hosein. And as you know, ladies and gentlemen, with the fullness of time, you know, people move on. Right? And you make way for young people. And when we had the screening, and they asked me, what are your views? And there are people here from the screening committee, so they could corroborate what I'm saying. They asked me about Chris Hosein, and I said, that is MP material. Ladies and gentlemen, that is MP material. And we have the confidence here to acknowledge the future and to acknowledge people as they move on. A round of applause for him again. A decent, young, bright person. Ladies and gentlemen, as I was coming here tonight, my wife warned me. She said, you know they're locking up people. Hush your big mouth, for heaven's sake. She warned the grandchildren need you, right? So she was saying that in the context of the fact that the papers today had a note, 250,000 bail for Duke. Right? I ain't saying nothing about that because I say they're jailing people. But what is the preoccupation of the PNM with sedition? What is the Remember, ladies and gentlemen, those of us who are a little older than the rest of them, a little older, will remember Chokda's Calypso? Well, I used to be a singer, a Calypso singer in another incarnation. I was the NP Calypso King for 2 years. So I'll sing. And if you think I sing good, just give me a small clap after I sing. And it goes like this. Afraid Carl, you're talking about the Baron of Maraval. They say a young minister was found in a hotel with a called girl in tongue. But I ain't talking about that. Afraid the Sedition Act. Ladies and gentlemen, I could have a line. Extempo. And I really like, they say a young minister's stepdaughter was found with drugs in a building in tongue, but I ain't talking about that. Afraid the Sedition Act. And the last verse. They say Prime Minister Rowley take bait and won an election with email gate, but I ain't talking about that. Afraid the Sedition Act. Ladies and gentlemen, what it is they have with Sedition Act. In 2016, when they came to Parliament with the SSA, the Strategic Services Act, they gave it a wider mandate to investigate people suspected of involvement in crimes, including acts of treason, money laundering, and hear the word, sedition, terrorism fighting, and corruption. So since they come into power, they fascinated, addicted to this word called sedition. When they came with the anti-gang bill, the 2015, when they came in 2011, sorry, the 2011 bill had a sunset clause. But in 2017, when they came to bring the bill, it had 3 new offenses to the schedule. Schedule 26 offenses under the Anti-Terrorism Act, 27 offenses under the Proceeds of Crime Act, and 28 offenses under the Sedition Act. And I want you to listen carefully, because I told them in Parliament, I'm quoting, this is me talking in Parliament on the 6th of December 2017. I said, tell me, what does the Anti-Terrorism and Sedition Act have to do with gang members, Madam Speaker? And you know she don't like me, right? Right. If she were here, she would probably tell me, take a seat, take a walk. So I asked her, tell me, what does the Anti-Terrorism and Sedition Act have to do with gang members, Madam Speaker? Tell me the real reason. What is the real reason? I'm quoting myself. It may be that these things are included to target persons who support the opposition or who oppose the government. What does sedition have to do with anti-crime legislation? Well, today we found out. Today we found out that if you talk too hard, if you criticize the government, it could be interpreted that you are being seditious. Madam Speaker, hear me. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, in the United States, hear what is sedition. Under, and I'm quoting here, under Section 2385 of the U.S. Code, it is unlawful to knowingly teach, advocate the propriety of overthrowing the government by force. So you have to literally, in the United States, advocate for changing the government by force. In Trinidad, if you say the PNM government is the worst government in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, the police might be outside waiting to lock me up. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witness right now to what we call a creeping dictatorship in this country. Under our sedition laws, it is archaic, outmoded, and it is used, it can be used to stifle dissent in the country. In Canada, they have, I'm reading a note that my staff prepared for me, which said that, that in Canada, it has never been used. As a matter of fact, there has been no new sedition brought to light after the 20th century in Canada. In countries, these things are used lightly. If I get up and I talk to you and I say, let us go and overthrow the government, then frankly, you lock me up. That is a charge. But if I say this government is the most incompetent in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, it is not sedition. I'm speaking the truth. I'm speaking the truth. So we call today for the amendment of the Sedition Act. It cannot be to, and I'm quoting here from the present Sedition Act, to bring into hatred or contempt or excite disaffection against government or the Constitution as by law established or the House of Representatives or the Senate or the administration of justice. So if you speak and create disaffection with the government, you can be charged for sedition. But ladies and gentlemen, we know how to talk that. All of us know that this is the most incompetent government. You can see it in the roads. You can see it in the sufferation that we suffer. I know, mother. I know, we're going back into Parliament. I know a lady who is watching her son, because right now he got fired from Petrotrin. He's going through depression, and they're keeping a suicide watch on that individual because he has lost respect. He's at the point at which he's going to lose his vehicle and lose his house, and he feels that he's no longer a man in his own home. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have to tell you that the government is incompetent. We don't have, you know it in your hearts of hearts. That is why, when they call the election, if they, sorry, they're locking up people now, so I can't say if. When they call the election, we're going to beat them bad, and you're going to help us, the UNC, and Kamala Prasad. We're going to beat them, we say in all fours, we're going to beat them in the mind. They will not recover from the licking they get, if ever and whenever they call local government election or general elections. Ladies and gentlemen, they talk in Parliament about, and you hear them, we're going to jail you, and we're going to lock you up and whatnot. And the question we ask, what about AV drilling and $100 million? But you see me, I ain't talking about that. Afraid the Sedition Act. You see me, I want to talk about the 100, a lady walk with a wheelbarrow of money, $100 bill. And when they ask her where she get it, she know where she get it. Up to now, we don't have an answer for the $143,000 that was presented to First Citizens Bank. But I ain't talking about that. Afraid the Sedition Act. I want to talk about the roaming charges. My little grandchildren, when I go and travel, they say, "Granddad, cut off roaming." My grandchild, 5 years old. She knows to cut off roaming. But a member of Parliament, outside the country, spending government money, a hardback woman, spending Trinidad government money, and got a bill of over $70,000 of your taxpayers' money. But you see me? I ain't talking about that. Afraid the Sedition Act. Let me tell you what else afraid to talk about. A fella had he take his, let me be careful. He take us, it is alleged, it is alleged that he took a lady to a hotel in Tobago and had a weekend romp, a honeymoon, some may say it is alleged, a romp with taxpayers' money up to $100,000 plus. And then turn around, it is alleged, pay the lady to keep quiet with taxpayers' money. But I can't talk about that. Afraid to see the, hey, check, I seen blue lights passing in the road. And my wife warned me, you know. If I reach over, they lock me up, she go say, good for you. I tell you. Yes. Where the money gone? Where the money gone? With before that, email gate. My colleague spoke about email gate. That was the biggest fraud perpetrated on the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago. They overthrew a government or attempted to overthrow a government by reading in Parliament false information. Look the law, sedition. Hear what it says. To bring into hatred or contempt or to excite disaffection against the government. Wasn't Emailgate intended to bring disaffection against the government? But I ain't talking about that. Afraid the sedition. They're ready to lock us up in truth, eh? They're ready to lock us up. Now, I have no problem if you lock me up if I stole, if I did wrong, if I tell you, let me take guns and shoot the government and whatnot. Lock me up, I deserve that. But if you plant a plant-like substance in my yard, or you put something in my water tank, and here, let me tell you the trick. You see, you have to know, because when these things happen, you have to know the plan. The plan is not that you would lose the case. All they have to do, all the government has to do, is to charge you for whatever, and immediately you have to get a senior counsel. You can't, well, if Saddam Hussein will represent me free, but you know I'll have to pay other lawyers. So I have to pay lawyers. And you know, everybody in Trinidad will say, you know, Charles, something funny about Charles. How we living so, how we got a yellow shirt, you know. I ain't have bling bling and gold, you know. I don't have Zessa suits like the Zessa, the Attorney General. But you want to hear a story. I will spend the remainder of my life justifying my innocence. And that is the trick. How could you go through an election with these things hanging over your head? Which is what they did to Kamala Persad-Bissessar. That's why I tell you she's a strong lady. And you should give her your support. Because we do not know the trials and tribulations.
And opened herself to a second.
The trials and tribulations that she faces. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we talk, and Councillor Chris Hosein has alluded to it, we will demand the completion of the Reform Hindu School. That is a must. When the new government comes into power, when the Kamala Persad-Bissessar government, as it will, as it must, as we know in our hearts will happen, we will want the Ben Lomond Early Childhood Center and the Reform Early Childhood Center completed, staffed, and fully functional. We will demand that our roads and our buck drains and the Guayakara River be fully dredged so that we will not be subject to the blight. This is a real blight government. I ain't talking about that. Let me rephrase it. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is not functioning as it ought to. Which is a nice way to say they need a bush bat. They blight. We have to do all in our power to get rid of them. So let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the government, I use the word not bright. You could use the word unintelligent. But sometimes I have to speak the truth. This government, this PNM government, is the most dunce-head government we ever had in the history of this country. They want to solve crime by passing more and more law, when any person who studies criminal justice will tell you that you cannot solve crime by passing laws. You cannot increase poverty in this area and in Marabella and on the line. When you close Petrotrin down, give no hope to young people, to young at-risk youth, and expect crime to decrease. Not so. You can't have increased poverty and people hungry and expect crime to decrease. You cannot cut subventions to the cadets. When I was growing up, I went to Naparima. We didn't have cadets, but presentation had we were envious of them. Because that taught them discipline, etc. Every school in Trinidad and Tobago should have a cadet force where you train the young people in discipline, both men and women. The police youth club should be fully resourced. The Civilian Conservation Corps, instead of cutting the budget significantly, should be increasingly financed. Serval should be financed, so our young people will have hope. You ever thought, ladies and gentlemen, we have to thank God for giving us parents, mothers and fathers, and guardians to ensure that we go to school, we learn our lessons, we get extra lessons if we need it, so we could pass our exams. What happened to us if our father is in prison and our mother is on drugs? What hope do we have? A government must be caring, not so? It must not only care for the wealthy, as this government is doing, it must care for the halt and the blind, and the up and the poor, and the fellow without hope. That is the Hindu tradition. We are in a Hindu school today. That is the Christian tradition. That is the Islamic edict. They had a zakat, they call it, where you give of your wealth to the poor. This government is taken from the poor to give to the rich. And so I saw on a cup, somebody had on the cup written, you know, they have these things. The Lord give it, and the government take it away. If you sneeze hard and call member pass, he put a tax on your back pocket. Never see a man like that. He happy. You know, there's a television program where he say, a bus a gasoline tax on them. And they're right. A bus a next one. And if they're right, partner again, them a third one. You know, I can't understand it. Property tax. You go in the grocery now. You know, I remember going, one of the problems with old age, when you're old. I used to go in the grocery with $200 and you get a thing. If you increase that $1,000. The other day I went to a grocery, and when the bill come up, I shame. I look wrong when nobody looking, I say, put back that. Put back that. Put back that. It's really bad now. Where are we going? And it was a rich man in Trinidad, I ain't calling no name, who was talking to a fellow abroad on CNN. And he says, we need a middle class to act as a buffer between the rich and the poor. Today, the middle class is shrinking. Man taking tire and patching it. We passed that stage long ago. You go in with car and you hear him pack the thing jumping down and all sorts of things. People, remember in the time when I was growing up, you have one pants. And when you come up after your mother, sew it up and you pass down the road, that one pants going for everybody. The young people don't know that. I know about shoes, they used to put an iron thing on the tip long ago and you're walking click, click, click all over the place. That was to save your soul. You know? I know about the times when there's a buy Clark shoe. Lord, I hate Clark shoe. Clark shoe, when your foot outgrow the Clark shoe, they cut a hole and your toe pointed out.
Oh, Lord!
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going back to those days. As the old lady says in my constituency, the days when we uses to eat mango and pull pumpsite in the ground and boost it. We're going back to that. We're going back to, watch me, ladies and gentlemen, and the young generation. If you, and I'm telling people like Senator Saddam Hussein, like Chris Hosein, like my good friend Stacy and Alvin, if you all don't, and my friend here,
What? This hour?
I didn't know that I'm going to get charged for sedition from your own side. I apologize. And my good friend, the Chairman Gori, let's give him a round of applause. The best chairman of the best corporation in Trinidad and Tobago. No talk. So the challenge, young people, if you all don't take hold of the government, if you don't help Kamala Prasad Bissessa, if you don't turn blood into stone to help us win this election, Crapo smoke our pipe. And ladies and gentlemen, I know we're getting late, but I want you all to know that with this election coming, it's not a time now for dissent. Now is not a time to double think. Now is not a time to find little fault. We didn't get our box drain. He went by this neighbor and he didn't come. I mean, that is old talk. We should have one focused mission as we move forward into the remainder of the time that we have for the next election. And that focus should be solely to get rid of this wicked, demonic PNM government. And the very last thing I'll talk about tonight is the fact that we could look forward to increased crime. I came to this meeting. This meeting is like a general meeting, but cars were all up in the road, and I park a mile up in the trace. And I tell a lady, watch my car for me, please. She said, Mr. Charles, I will do that for you. And while I walking down the road, I frightened too. If anybody cross, I run in. You reach a stage where you're not trusting anybody. You go, you walk in the road and a man come with a video or cap. Then you watching them cookie eye. If he cross the road, if you see him cross the road, if he cross the road to you bolt. You must have a head start. That is where we reach, ladies and gentlemen. And as we say that, take care as you reach home. We want you to reach safely because your family needs you and the party needs you for the next election if you're over 18 years old. They don't know because, as I say, they're not bright. And I say they don't see head. You cannot fight an election, stop crime if you have increased poverty. If you have a forensic science center, it takes 3 years, 4 years to give you a ballistic report. In Singapore, they don't like to hear Singapore, you get in an hour if you want. And somebody saying, but we need to fast track. If, for example, the police came here and they shot me, and they're gang walker, and they want to find out if the police shot or the gang shot. And you have to know if the bullet came from a police, and therefore you need a ballistic report. Well, if you wait 3 or 4 years to get a ballistic report, I will die, I will bury, I will raise to heaven because I'm a good boy, and I'll be up there with the angels flapping, and that ballistic report will reach the police here. Cannot solve crime without dealing with the fundamentals of our society. A DPP's office that is 57% understaffed, how, by heaven's sake, you could prosecute someone if the DPP's office is understaffed, and sometimes I feel deliberately so. Deliberately so. So when they charge me with sedition, it takes 10 years of the DPP to advise and whatnot, and I in the police in the prison lockup, in the remand yard. You cannot solve crime with open borders. They tell us we left them 14 vessels with radar and all kinds. I look at them vessels, boy, because I went on a cruise and I look at the U.S. Coast Guard. The U.S. Coast Guard had a little boat, and they circled the ship that was going out in Fort Lauderdale. I see our Coast Guard vessels look, I'm not an expert, but they look more foreboding than the U.S., and they have them tied up instead of solving crime because they have no management skills. No management. We left them 14 boats. They allowed them to rust, ladies and gentlemen. We only knew that this thing was a crisis when we had the problem in Cali Bay, and the families called for the Coast Guard. It took hours upon hours for the vessel to come, and they had to turn back because they didn't have fuel. And days after, when they came to pick up a body, because you're searching for bodies, there are no body bag. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the management style of this wicked, incompetent PNM government. We cannot, if we cannot solve crime, we have increase in poverty. Ladies and gentlemen, I ain't talking much. Right? All of us know what we have to do. Not so? Tell me who don't know what we have to do. Put up your hands. So everybody knows what we have to do. So the first thing we got to do is support your counselors. Right? That is it. I'll give him a round of applause again. Support the UNC. Give the UNC a round of applause. Support Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Give her a round of applause. And like Nelson, Lord Nelson said to the British Navy, the older people here know what I'm talking about. The UNC expects every man, woman, and child to do their duty. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much.